Morning. Good morning. Oh, what a lovely morning it is. Welcome. Oh, it's TLC Sunday service. So good to see you all this morning. I just want to say, before I get started, that I just want to bless a spirit known as Shahira Stevens this morning. And I know that wherever she is, and whatever she is doing, the hand of God is upon her for sure. Good morning, TLC. How are you? Come on, y'all. Talk to me this morning. Talk to me this morning. You know, there's a song called Talk to Me, Talk to Me. Come on and talk to me this morning. How are you? I just want to say that
I'm called Talk to Me, Talk
in
to Me.
in this
Come
in
on.
this cold weather, excuse me, in this cold weather. Hey Kalima, in this cold weather, I want you to be careful when you are outside because it is fearfully cold and we don't need any exposed skins to be frostbitten. So for all of you who must go out, please take care of yourself. Good morning, Erica. Your husband about to drop a word this morning. I'm so excited. Have you been so excited that you just want to jump out of your skin? That's how I feel this morning. Joanna, oh, my Las Vegas boo, how are you this morning? I love you too. I love you too. I tell you, I just love my TLC family. I just love my TLC friends. And oh man, we are far and wide in all places of the country, all places of the world. Dr. Kafira, good morning. Good morning. Drew, I've been thinking about you, boo. The fabulous Fat Boo. We're going to talk about Fat Boo in a moment. Yes, she is bringing something special to us this morning. Not this morning, but we're going to talk about it this morning. Oh, yes. We have something so special this morning that we were just talking right before we came on. Joy, I got joy. When I think about the Lord, I got joy. Good morning. Good morning. Audra, good morning. Oh, it is such a good morning. Dun dun. Mm, so wonderful for you to be here. And Divine Della. Oh, I'm so excited that you are all here, but you all are always here. You all are always here. Bridget, good morning. Good morning. Nicole Miller, that was a wonderful session that we had on Friday. The Sip and Study and the Course of Miracles. Ooh, you know, TLC got some stuff going on. You know we do. You know we got some stuff, healthier. You know we got some good stuff going on at TLC. Yes, and we're going to talk about it this morning. Francine Glass. What's up, Franny? Grand rising to you. Gloria Bradley, good morning. Good morning. Ooh, Jazzy. We are in the month of faith. All right, we in your month, boo. We are in your month of faith. Oh, the color is silver and the disciples is Matthew. Come on. Sonny, Dr. Wilson, good morning. Good morning. Oh, what a good morning it is. If you are in the sound, if you hear the sound of my voice, it is a good morning. Ooh, Eve Davis, good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy that you are all here. And I just want to say that we are sending light and love to Melva Johnson. Um, Beloved Jesse had his memorial service this past weekend, and we just want to continue to send her light and love and just really love up on her. Good morning, Reverend Ken. Good morning. Just love up on her. Send her loads of light and energy this morning. There's a lot going on at Transform and Love Community, and we're going to talk about that right now. As we do our announcements, we are in the first 12 days of 2022. This is the ninth day. And so come this evening at 7 o'clock. The information is right here on the screen. The conference call is only 15 minutes. So come and just spend a little time. You know what? You always have to spend just a little time in the presence of God to get great benefit. So come and join us tonight and for the continuation of the first 12 days of prayer. Thank you. Shouts out to our master teacher prayer, Kendra Ventura. All right. Dr. Fabulous Fabu. I just had to put that fabulous in there, centering for the new year this Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, because you know we have people all over the world, so we have to say that. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. The information is on our website. All right. So come and join us and Dr. Fabu for Centering for the New Year. It is a Facebook Live event. So join us on Tuesday, January 11th. Oh, Transform and Love Community and Wellness Thursdays. These sisters right here, Dr. Andrea, Dr. Reverend Tia, Dr. Anita, and I'm going to call her Dr. Reverend too, Valeria. Come join us on Thursday, 7 p.m. for Wellness Thursdays. Yes. Ooh, for the rest of the month, we are activating our faith to today. You know, we have Dr. Spencer Murray. He will be back with his beautiful wife, Erica Murray. Oh, and then next week we have, we got some spiritual, powerful brothers. Reverend Royce will be joining us next Sunday. And then I round out the month at the end with as we wind up with our Faith Monday. So come next Sunday as we bring forth Reverend Royce Thomason to give the message. You did not see a slide for Soap Mondays. I have to attend a service. So Soap Mondays is suspended for tomorrow, but baby, we'll be back next week. Looky here. Come, get your books, get ready for the study of The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. Oh my God, this is a 12-week study. Come, join us. Let me tell you something. The light chasers, you are light chasers. Actually, you are a light bearer. However, we need to deal with our dark sides. We need to deal with those things that aren't quite in alignment. And Debbie Ford comes to share that information with us. And the introduction, may I say, will be done by none other than myself and the Right Reverend Spencer Murray, who has done so much of the shadow work. So come, we are excited about this study. So come and join us. Yes. And as I'm speaking about Dr. Spencer Murray, I was just so excited and honored to introduce this wonderful soul, the spirit, and he is a divine representation of what God looks like walking. This is my friend, Dr. Spencer Murray. He is a teacher, he is a light bearer, he is a counselor, he is a man of God, he is an author, he is the stuff, baby. I just want to say how honored I am to introduce introduce, to bring forth the word this morning, tending to your sacred garden. I introduce to you and just come on with it, Dr. Spencer Murray. I'm excited. Look at here. I got my paper and my pad ready for them little golden nuggets that you're gonna drop. I love you, my brother.
I love
I
you, Danny.
love you from all the places
Man,
in my heart. I present to you Dr. Spencer Murray.
man, Danny, I'm so grateful for you. I love you. I love TOC. Good morning to everyone. I mean, I can't say that enough. I'm just feeling so grateful for TLC. I'm feeling so grateful for you all this morning. I know it's cold in Detroit. It's little cold here, but certainly not like Detroit. I know it's cold, and I know it's all of that, man. But let's join in this space right now and forget everything that's going on outside, forget everything that's going on with the weather, and just come into this space right now, man, and just join hearts and join minds and join our souls in this space that we call Transforming Love Community. Grateful to Rev, as Danny said. I hope that wherever she is, I know God is there, but wherever she is, that she's getting some sacred solitude and some rest and rejuvenation. And so we just love her, and we're so grateful for the divine idea of TLC that she had 24, maybe 25 years ago when she first had the spark of the idea. So good morning to everyone. It's good to be here. I see my friends. Oh, man, Donna, Royce, I get energy from seeing those comments. Thank you. I love you all. Let's go ahead now and get started. I can't say that enough. I could spend an hour telling you how much I love you. So let's just go ahead and get into the word and get into the message. The theme is activating your faith, activating your faith for the month of January. And so we know that January is the month of faith. We know that Peter, the disciple, we know who the disciple is. And we also know that it symbolizes faith in spiritual things, faith in spiritual things. And so the affirmation for this month of faith is: faith blesses my day and paves my way. It blesses my day and it paves my way, meaning that we live and move in faith. We live and move in faith. And so before I start the message, let me just affirm some things, and this will be our prayer for this morning. And whatever is makes you comfortable, we can do a prayer that's open-eyed. We don't necessarily need to close our eyes and bow our heads all the time, because the words that come out of our mouth are prayers. Our affirmations are our prayers. And so let's join in spirit and do that right now before we get into the message. So let's first just take time to pause and express some gratitude of wherever you are physically, wherever you are in your journey right now, that you are right where you are supposed to be. Let's affirm that together, that God has you right where you're supposed to be right now. So we give gratitude to God for that. We also want to hold space for all of our brothers and sisters that may be experiencing pain, may be experiencing loss, may be experiencing grief from the season that we just had, and acknowledging that we know that there are people who are on this call or in our lives that we know that are still experiencing or maybe experiencing a dark night of the soul. We just want to send energy out to them right now. And if you're on this call, I want you to know we love you, and we send energy out to you right now, knowing that you are right where you need to be right now. We know that God is comforting, God is perfecting all that concerns you right now. And so let's just affirm that for everybody that we know, that God is comforting and perfecting all that concerns you and all that concerns them right now. And so in this moment, God, we just empty ourselves of all our concerns from the past, concerns of the present, concerns of the future. And we open our hearts and minds to whatever you're going to give us today, God, knowing that whatever we receive today is exactly what you would have for us, individually and collectively. Right? I ask that you breathe into this message now, God. Breathe into this message so that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart may be acceptable in your presence, God. Amen I say, and so it is. All right, let's go. Let's go, family. You heard the announcements from Danny. Let's talk about tending your sacred garden. Tending your sacred garden. That's the title of the message. And before I start, let me say again that I hope this message has some individual and collective application, right? Individual and collective application in the message. And so that's where we are, where we want to will come from. We want to see how it affects us personally and how it affects the kingdom, so to speak, the people of God. How we can take this message and spread it out to every corner of the planet. All right. So you've heard of the Secret Garden, of course. There's Quincy Jones and who was that? Quincy Jones and Barry White talking about the Secret Garden. And so I wasn't playing on the Secret Garden. There is a sacred garden as well, but we know in a metaphysical sense they can be related, right? The secret garden and the sacred garden can be related. So take this message and use it for whatever it means to you and however you can use it, because metaphysically they can be related. Right. I came across a quote that I had on my phone that I had downloaded some time ago, and it says, and let me say this, and we're gonna go into the sacred garden, but I also want to show how this message has correlation, a metaphysical correlation to our lives, right? Into some practical ways. And so when you talk about the sacred garden, oh, you're talking about the secret garden. This quote says, "The womb of a woman is the most sacred place on earth. When you know this, you can't allow an unqualified person inside." The womb of a woman is the most sacred place on earth. When you know this, you can't let an unqualified person inside. Now, you can interpret that any way you want physically, and you can talk about the womb of the earth, the womb of creation, right? And so it is a sacred place, right? It is a sacred place, and those who have embraced sacredness, have embraced that, are the ones who can stand with God or be in that sacred space, right? I mean, you have to be sacred or embrace something sacred to be in that sacred space. And so the womb of creation calls for us to all be in a sacred space and tend to our sacredness and our sacred garden, from which our faith, the foundation of our faith, grows. The foundation of our faith is going to come from that sacred garden. All right. So let me read a scripture first when you talk about sacred and secret. Psalm 91 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The secret place is the sacred place. Because we can say, "He that dwelleth in the sacred place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." You know, there's a need for sacredness. And as we move into 2022, and as we have these technological advances, as we have advances in society, as we have all these things surrounding us, there's a need really to remember about our sacred selves and to have some sacred experiences and to honor sacredness. And so, it is difficult sometimes to find a sacred place in a world that's so public, because our world is so public now, right? Everything, you can see everything. The more you interact with the world, the more we need to find a sacred place. Everything is out there, man. When you talk about social media, when you talk about anything on the internet, right? The ease of people being able to get your sacred information or your personal information, your social security number, this, everybody gets this. They share information, and before you know it, all your information is out there. And so it is always a need for us, right, to find something that's sacred, to embrace some sacredness. Even when I hear certain music, it seems that, wow, man, nothing is sacred. When I hear certain music and I hear, what they want to do to each other, and you know what I mean, and what they're gonna do, and what it's just I ask myself, is nothing sacred anymore? Because it's just out there. And and then yes, you got social media, Facebook, Instagram, and all this. And so and any day your picture could be show up on Facebook or Instagram. It's like, what if I don't want my picture on Facebook or Instagram? But when you go out, and you go out to places, and you go out to public, and go out in public, you never know, you might look up the next day and your picture will be on Facebook or Instagram. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. People can't even, back in the day when people played hooky from work, they really can't do that too much. If you play hooky from work, you better stay in the house, because if you go out somewhere, someone could take a picture. You could be posted. Nothing is really sacred anymore. And while we long for the good old days too, let's say this. Let's say this. That you know when stuff wasn't out there like that, people did keep a lot of secrets, were able to hide their secrets when we didn't have social media, when things weren't out there as much. And so, we have to have a balance. But I think this all calls for us to embrace something that's sacred. When Eric and I were getting married 12 years ago, and we had been planning the wedding. And we were getting so stressed out about planning and trying to get people to come from out of town to the wedding, how we're going to get the hotel rooms, and how we're going to do this, and how we're going to do this. And many of you heard us say this before. We went somewhere and we sat down and we said, hey, let's change the whole plan. Let's change the whole plan, and let's scale this thing down. We're not trying to keep this secret, but we're trying to keep it sacred. And I believe the sacredness that we established at the beginning of our relationship is the sacredness that still flows through our relationship today. It still flows through our relationship today, and it contributes to the success of our relationship, because we allow that sacredness individually and collectively to still be there. We don't have to be out there for everybody to see it. You don't have to do that. Let's embrace some sacredness. So let's start off with thinking about that as we go into this message about embracing sacredness. And actually, even being in the presence of God is a sacred experience. Our Sunday service right now is a sacred experience. I can't wait until we're face to face and I can embrace you and we can see each other and talk to each other. It seems that it would make it more sacred then, but we are gathering this sacred space even in the virtual environment. But it is a sacred time. That is, even in the presence of God, that is sacred. But now that we talked about a little bit about sacred and the need for sacredness, let's talk a little bit about the seed and the soil. The seed and the soil. And I want to read a bit from Matthew 13, the 3rd through the 9th verse. It is the parable of the sower. Many of you all have heard it before. I'm going to read it again. We're going to do some interpretation of it a little bit. And then we'll continue talking about the soil. All right. But let's talk about the sower first. It says, Matthew 19, 3 through 9 says, listen, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds came and ate them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground, where they did not have much soil, and they sprang up quickly, since there was no depth of the soil. And when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Let anyone with ears listen. Let anyone with ears listen. Now, many of us have heard that parable over and over and over. And when we refer to the parable, we're talking about, we at TLC know that we're talking about thoughts, and we're talking about consciousness too, right? We're talking about thoughts that you plant into your consciousness and how they grow and how they show up in your life, right? We're talking about that. And so we know, we know what that means, the planting of seeds in your consciousness. And many times we talk about the seeds a lot. And we refer to the seeds a lot. but we don't refer much to the soil. And we're going to talk about that today. But let me do some interpretation first. The first seed that we have encountered in the scripture says, he sowed, and some seeds fell upon the path. The birds came and ate them up. Now the seeds were exposed on the path, our friends, because it was a hard path. The seeds were exposed on a hard path, meaning that the soil was so packed down, right? The soil was so packed down because many people had traveled this path. Many people have traveled the path, and so it was packed down. And so anything that was dropped onto the path couldn't sink into the soil because it was hard. It was very hard. And so what that tells us is that when you and I scatter seeds, when you and I plant seeds, you have to plant them on the road that's less traveled, not the one that's traveled over and over and over and over again. And so when you plant that seed, it won't grow. You know, they say in the brain that there's a pathway, right? There's pathways in the brain. And so it's like getting to a road and you see it fork off into two ways and you wonder which way you're going to go. And habitually, you might go into the way that everybody else has gone, the way you've gone all the time in the past, because the road is well traveled. In fact, the soil is really packed down, but you might go that way because it's just the way you know. But actually, what you really need to do is create another pathway. You need to create another pathway in that brain. And that comes with habits, right? You need to travel the road less traveled. And then the seeds that you scatter there will have some growth. They will fall into some new soil. Some new soil, because God is doing a new thing. You have to create a new pathway for those seeds to grow. So let's talk about that seed and let's talk about the next seed. So here's the message. Follow the road less traveled. You want to tend your sacred soil, follow the road less traveled, not the road that everybody else is doing. So that's one. That's the first seed. The second seed, it says, fell upon or rocky ground. They didn't have much soil. They had some soil, but not much. They sprang up quickly, but they didn't have any depth of soil, right? So when the sun rose, it scorched them because they had no root. Because we know what happens in the soil. The soil is when you develop the roots, deep roots. They didn't have any deep roots. And so it's like when we talk about it metaphysically in our lives, that some soil might give early success, right? They sprouted up immediately. Yeah, if you practice some principles and you get into truth teaching, you might have some success. You might manifest some things early. But if there's no depth to the soil, it won't produce the roots that are going to sustain that growth. If there's no depth to the soil. And when the pressures of life come, that we might not be able to apply the truth that we need because those seeds were scattered on rocky ground, that there was no depth of soil. So sometimes we need more experience with God, for God to carve us deeper. And when God carves us deeper, then those seeds can take root, root and have some growth that's going to sustain us for a long time. So that's the second seed with the soil. Now the third seed says they were grown. They fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. The thorns choked the seed out. And so we always have to make sure that we are planting on righteous ground. Because the thorns of power, the thorns of greed, the thorns of relying on material things for happiness, the thorns of self-seeking, the thorns of unforgiveness, all those will sprout up to choke out our seed, to choke it out. Now, all these things can choke out the seed of truth. And before you know it, your darkness will be drowning out your light. Your darkness will be drowned out your life. So we have to make sure there's no thorns, all those thorns, right, that can choke out that seed. That's the third one. Now we know the fourth one was planted in good ground. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the soil. And oftentimes because of this concentration on talking about the seeds, we've always talked about the seeds. You've heard it over the years, and people ask you, hey, what kind of seeds are you planting? People talk about no one should plant this type of seed and expect something else to grow up. We're always talking about the seeds, right? And I think that's a phenomenon of something that happens in the West. Let's just say the West, where we live at now. Western thinking focuses on the seed, which is external, instead of the soil, which is internal. See, the seed is external and the soil is internal. It's like it is the difference from living from the inside out instead of the outside in. So let's not just focus on the seeds, because the truth is, it doesn't matter what type of seed you're planting if it's not in good soil. If it's not in good soil. So what we need to do is tend to our sacred soil first. Tend to our sacred soil first. And Ricardo Levins, I got a quote that I want to bring up, and I found this on the website of a guy named Ricardo Luis Morales. He's an artist in Minnesota. I've ordered some things from him, but I saw this quote and I thought it was so it's simple but profound. The soil is more important than the seeds. The soil is more important than the seeds. And he's talking about the thoughts, right? The thoughts, the beliefs that we live by. And he's talking about it in terms, right? He talks about it in terms of social justice and social change and that type of work. But we understand the thoughts and beliefs that people have is the soil, right? Is your soil. And so we have to really work with the soil first. The soil is more important than the seeds. Let's talk about the importance of the soil for a minute, fam. Scientists used to believe that it was the germ that caused disease, that the germ caused disease. But come to find out, it is really the body that provides the hospitable environment for the germ. So in other words, the germ can't continue to grow in an environment that's not inviting it in, that's not hospitable for it. So the idea is to concentrate on the soil. In other words, the soil is the host. The soil is the host. And in any story of creation, we will understand that the soil is the host. And if we don't take care of our soil, we don't take care of that, we're going to be inviting toxic guests into our home. I don't care if we're talking about our home, our thoughts, or we're talking about our bodies. That if we don't take care of our environment, and this is why we talk about healthy eating. This is why we do Wellness Thursdays. This is why we do all that. All of that is to turn our soil. This is why we are doing on Tuesdays, the dark side of the light chasers, because at TLC, we're talking about turning over our soil. Yes, there's a seed, but we need to go deep and keep turning over our soil, because the soil is the host. Right. And so in our bodies, we need to keep moisture. We need to keep the right thing. We need to keep it to keep it so it can be a hospital environment for healthy cells. But if we're not taking care of the body, then we're inviting toxicity to come in, and that's where it can thrive, and that's where it can grow. Right. And we know that. And we know that. In my experience and others' experiences on this. In this service, we know that there's been disease that has taken our loved ones, and we know that disease exists, but still we know that we need to take care of our bodies and take care of the environment inside of our bodies to make sure that disease does not flourish inside of our minds and inside of our bodies. So the soil is more important than the seed. Even Dr. Sebi, many of you have heard of Dr. Sebi, and many of us at TLC, holistic doctors at TLC, talk about this, including Dr. Andrea, that the mucus, they say, is the basis of all disease. Mucus. meaning that if you reduce the mucus while you're increasing the moisture in your body with water, then that is one of the first things you can do to fight off disease. What does that mean? That means you have to stop eating mucus forming foods. That means you have to watch your diet. That means you might have to go to a predominantly plant-based diet, or at least add that into your diet. We're having those conversations now. We know that to be true, that your inner soil is the host. And so we must pay attention to the soil. And this is why we do all the things that we do at TOC, because we're about going deep into the cave to cultivate our soil, to till our soil, to add moisture to our soil, to do all these things. So when that seed is planted, that it will flourish, that it will grow, that it will manifest the way we intended to. So being a student of history, fam, I would be remiss if I didn't bring historical perspective in here when we talk about the seed, when we talk about the soil, because the soil is so important. Do you know that conquerors, missionaries, colonizers the world over have known the importance of the soil? They've known the importance of the soil because they've known the importance of the land. I want to bring up a quote that you've heard before, and certainly you know this quote by Desmond Tutu. And the quote says, when the missionaries came to Africa, they had the Bible and we had the land. They said, let us pray. We closed our eyes. When we opened them, we had the Bible and they had the land. They had the land. You see, people have always known the importance of the soil, the importance of the soil. And when you attempt to steal the soil, you attempt to steal the soul of the people. The soul of a nation. That's deep. Because the soil and the soul is related. That's deep. The soil and the soul is related. And so there are those who've always known the importance of the land, the importance of the soil. And people who steal soil, right, they do it for either one of three reasons: either because their own soil is barren, they want to control the soil, or they don't want to do the communal work to make it so that everybody benefits from the soil. Or all three, right? The soil, their own soil is barren. They want to control the soil, or they don't want to do the communal work that's necessary with all to make sure that the soil is good for everybody and everybody can benefit from it. And so people have always known the importance of the soil. I don't care whether it's kicking the natives off their land, taking the Africans from their land, even trying to control how the women navigate the reproductive soil of their own reproductive soil. That people will try to control that. So whether you're talking about the secret garden or the sacred garden, it's the same principle, trying to control your soil. Yet, trying to control the soil, reproductive soil of a woman, how it should look and where it should look, and trying to control and doing all that, yet while at the same time researching and developing a variety of ways where men can continue to ensure that they can enter that soil. Come on now, Sven. Something's wrong with that picture. I say you're trying to control the reproductive soil of the woman, but at the same time researching and creating a variety of ways where men can continue to enter that soil no matter what age they get. That is domination and that is control. So we need to talk about the soil, because he who attempts to control the soil wants to control the means of production and the means of reproduction. he who wants to control the soil. So we need to know that, fam, because the world will try to deceive you into thinking that this life is about chasing seeds. It's not about chasing seeds. It's about focusing on the soil. But if we're too busy chasing seeds, competing with each other, trying to get this seed, get that, we won't even be focusing on the soil, and someone will take the soil right from under your feet. So we need to focus on the soil. Before we chase these seeds, you know, we'll be having material possessions, clothes and rims, and enhancing our appearance, and how many followers we get on Instagram, or all these seeds, chasing seeds, and someone else is controlling the soil. No wonder, family. No wonder we have an uptick in depression, uptick in violence, uptick in suicide. Because we have a world that's trying to separate us from our soil. It's separating us from our sacred soil. And so we need to come back. We need to return to the garden. We need to come back to what's sacred and where the foundation, where our faith is found. We need to talk about that soil. Can you imagine leaving the soil of Africa? And I'm talking about this, the Black experience. We can talk about the Black experience, the brown experience, the experience of those who are marginalized, leaving the soil of Africa, leaving your own soil and being immersed in a land that was stolen and recultivated with the oppressive soil of racism, terrorism, sexism, classism, all those things. And for too long, the Black and brown experience and the marginalized experience have been characterized by the frustration of trying to plant seeds and not seeing the harvest, or someone else is claiming the harvest for you. You're not seeing the harvest. It only shows us that we can't plant seeds in someone else's soil, fam. Especially if that soil is tainted. So the only seeds that will flourish is the seeds that we plant in our own sacred soil. And not someone else's soil. But Tanya, you know, that's changing, fam. I don't know if you can feel it. It's changing.
Yes.
It is changing. And despite appearances, groups of people are beginning to reclaim their soil. And you reclaim your soil, thereby you reclaim your soul as well. People are starting to reclaim those things. When I think about the Wampanoag tribe, the Maspee Wampanoag tribe, I read recently that, and if you don't know who they are, they were the first people, some of the first peoples who helped the Pilgrims to survive when they came over here 400 years ago. Do you know that they've been fighting ever since to get their sacred lands back? And recently I read an article that they just won a major victory in getting their lands back, their ancestral lands back, that are given control of about 320 acres somewhere in the area of Cape Cod. It'll allow them to reclaim the land, to protect the cherished land, and allow them to have economic development on that land. 400 years they've been trying to get that land back. Things are changing, fam. People are reclaiming their land, reclaiming their truth, reclaiming justice. Things are changing, but they won't change if we just focus on the seeds. Let's focus on the soil, fam. And when with the Wampanoag tribe, see, this is what happens when you have the first Native American who leads the Department of Interior, Deb Haaland.
That's right. Come on
A
now.
woman.
Yes. Come on now.
The first Native American leading the Department of Interior, and now they get their land back.
Yes.
And they still have a fight to go, right? But they're getting their land back. Things are changing, not only collectively, but changing for us. We are reclaiming that which was ours. We are reclaiming truth, but we need to focus that. People are reclaiming what is rightfully theirs. Change is coming. It's coming, fam.
Change is here.
It's here. As long as we grow our own gardens and stop begging for sustenance from someone else's garden. We have to get sustenance from our own garden. From our own garden. And that means tending to the sacred soil. Tending to the sacred soil. Let's tending to your own sacred soil. We talking about individually now, because there's an individual sacred soil and there's a collective sacred soil. Tend to your own individual sacred soil. So here's some tips on tending to your own garden, right? Stop comparing. Stop comparing your garden to somebody else's. Stop comparing. That will only bring you down. And stop comparing. Know that, the grass is greener wherever it's watered. The grass is greener wherever it's watered. And sometimes if the grass looks like it's greener on the other side, it's because that grass is fake. It's not real grass, it's fake. And so stop comparing ourselves to things that are outside of our purview. Stop comparing ourselves to externals, other things that people have, what other people are doing. Stop doing that. Tend to our sacred soil. Tend to your own garden. Stop comparing. The second thing we can do is resist conformity. Resist conformity. I don't like conformity. I don't like the idea of conformity. Even the word says, do not be conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We are not supposed to be conforming to what's going on, what's popular, and what's going on. And you think for ourselves. Think for yourself. Don't be afraid to be called different. Don't be afraid to be called queer. Don't be afraid to be called weird, because they will. Because they will call you that. Some call you that for attending TLC. I already know this. Some say that because they don't agree with the teachings that are at TLC or New Thought teachings, period. I already know that. Don't conform, fam. Don't give in. Follow your own path. Even if the criticizers are in your own family, tend your own sacred soil. Resist conformity. Resist it. Here's the third way, fam. Make time for sacred solitude. You have to make time for sacred solitude. And it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship, if you live with someone, if you live with a family, everyone has to find time for sacred solitude. That is your time with God. Whether it's getting up early in the morning, whether it's going on a walk early in the morning, whether it's going to the gym, whatever that is, sitting still, you have to make time. Sacred solitude. That is your sacred time with God. Because you know what? The world will keep throwing everything at you when you get to work, when you get with your family, throwing everything at you. But you need to put your sacred time first. Put yourself first. That's the first thing you need to do in the morning, is embrace your sacred solitude. And if you have to do it throughout the day, do that as well. Do that as well. Embrace your sacred solitude. Put that into your schedule. Put that into your schedule. The organizational psychologist. Here's another term. Organizational psychologist. Adam Grant talks about people who create to-do list. Many of us do that. We create a to-do list when we get up in the morning. It helps us go through our day. Helps us take care of the things we need to take care of the day. It gives us a visual of what we need to do. He also suggests that we create a don't list. Not only a to-do list, but a don't list to create boundaries, right? To create boundaries. Let me tell you some of the things he puts on his don't list that he said on his don't list is don't be scrolling through social media. Don't just scroll through social media. You got to create your boundaries and guard and protect your garden. Even the word says to guard and protect your heart. All the issues come from there. You have to guard and protect your sacredness. Don't scroll through social media. He says, and this is one for me as well, probably both of us, Erica, don't check your phone while you're in bed. Don't check your cell phone while you're in bed. Even your rest is sacred, fam. Even your rest should be sacred. And that's a word for me too. Even your rest should be sacred. Don't scroll through the phone while you're in bed. And here's one more. Don't turn on the TV unless you know what you want to watch. Don't turn on the TV unless you know what you want to watch. Because you know what we do. We do it all the time. You be scrolling through it. You be if you have 2 hours to watch something before you go to bed, you be scrolling through the TV for an hour through your app trying to find something to watch. Before you know it, all the information, all the things just get into your head, and then you got too many choices. You don't know what you want to watch. You don't know what you want to do. So don't turn on the TV unless you know what you want to watch. That's one for us to grow into, but still, that is a don't. You know, you can create your own, because what you're doing is creating boundaries. You're protecting your sacredness. You're protecting your sacred garden. You have to have those boundaries. Because if you don't protect your soil, someone else will come in and grab it from you and try to tell you what to do with your soil. You got to create boundaries. So create yourself to don't list. And here's another tip. Know that God can use anything to beautify your garden. God can use anything to beautify your garden. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and he was telling me about his garden, things that he's done with his garden. He was telling me about how he planted or put in worm castings. And those of you who are familiar with horticulture or gardens know about worm castings. Worm castings are actually the worms that are in the ground, the waste from the earthworms are organic fertilizer for your garden. Woo! And when you look at chickens, cows, sheep, horse, when it mixes with with their waste, when it mix it with the dirt called manure, and then it provides the best fertilization for your garden, man. God can use anything. I'm talking about earthworm crap or earthworm poo, they call it, can be used to beautify your garden because it has nutrients and it makes the soil more rich. And that makes the soil hold more moisture, the earthworms under the ground. And so I know if God can use the crap from animals to do that, then he can use the crappy experiences of our own lives to enrich our soil. If we just reframe those experiences, that God can use those experiences to enrich our soil as well, if you want to go deep. And that's one reason I love TLC. We go deep. If you want to go deep, if you allow it, God can use those experiences as well to beautify your garden. And then last, fam, keep your eye on the vision. Keep your eye on the vision of your own garden. Keep your eye on the vision. In the Book of Awakening, Mark Nepo tells a story. And he tells a story of when he used to hang out with his father. He used to hang out with his father at a 30-foot boat, yacht, whatever it was. And he would hang out with his dad on it. When the waves got a little choppy, when the sea got rough, the waters got rough, the sea got choppy, he would go below. He would go below him. And when he went below, he could hear everything, right? He really could hear the waves hitting the hull of the boat and everything. He could really hear that. And his dad used that as an opportunity to tell him about sailors back in the day. Because when sailors were seasick, they would go down below because they were seasick, right? And one of the only things that made them feel better was they were called up. They would go up to the top of the boat and they would look at the horizon, and they would keep their eyes on the horizon, and it made them feel better, right? It didn't stop the storms, but it made them more bearable by keeping their eyes on the horizon. And what I say, fam, is we need to keep our eyes on the horizon. When you keep your eyes on the horizon, the storms may not stop, but they'll be more bearable. So keep your eye on the vision. Even in the wait time when you're waiting for your seeds to sprout, while you're waiting for the harvest to come in, keep your eye on the vision. Keep your eye on the horizon. Because, you know, in 2022, I wish we could say that there wouldn't be any more mass killings, that there wouldn't be any more, murders by over policing. I wish we could say that there wouldn't be any more pain from the death of loved ones, and certain people will be leaving our physical presence. You know, as MLK said one time, he said, "Yeah, we do have some difficult days ahead. You know, we have some difficult days ahead because those things will continue to happen, unfortunately. But we need to keep our eyes on horizon. If we just resist the urge to huddle down below in fear, like those guys on the boat, like those sailors, if we resist the urge to huddle below in fear, and we keep our eyes on the horizon, we'll be able to weather any storm, even the one impending storms that are coming, even the ones that some people are experiencing right now. So, friends, we're going to hold the vision for the garden that we're growing right now. In 2022, we're going to keep our eyes right there. And there's no better way to start the year than start it in faith, in tending to our soul and our sacred garden so we can have a foundation, roots. Because in good soil is where the roots are. It's where your roots are, in the depth of the soil. So, friends, along the way, as we experience 2022, just as Jesus turned over the tables one time, we're going to have to till the ground and turn over some outdated soil in the experience of this country and our world. Turn over some soil and till it and cultivate it and make it richer for the sake of humanity. We have to do that, fam. We not only till and cultivate our own sacred soil, but we need to do that for the planet. If, in fact, we are the light workers, as my sister Danny said, if we are the light, then we go out. And whatever soil we need to turn over, whatever soil we need to get rid of so it becomes richer for the planet, for those that come after us, for our children. Are you ready? Fam, are you ready? Are you ready? I just want to hear about how, I want to hear some people and tell me what you think. How will you tend your sacred garden? How will you tend your sacred garden? How do you tend to your sacred garden? Let's open up, fam, and hear. Want to hear some comments on how you tend to your sacred garden. Talk to me, fam. Resist the urge to fear. Yes. Till the soil of the planet. That's right. We till the soil at moments of solitude. That's right, Danny. Don't let anyone ever tell you, fam, that solitude is selfish. Get your solitude. Drink water. Sister Klima says, drink water. That's right. Because the soil, you keep your soil moist, where you can gather some roots. Recognize we are human and divine. That's right. Oh, fam, I love you. I love you. It's time for us to resist fear and distractions. Keep our eyes on the horizon. There's going to be many fears and distractions. That's right, Donna. And those fears and distractions will increase. Keep our eyes on the horizon. Forgive myself and others. That's right, Clayman. That's a word for all of us. Certainly a word for me. Continue to forgive, and so that unforgiveness won't come up and choke out your garden, anything in your garden. Reading the word daily, sacred sustainability through my time. Woo! With the Most High, my sister Audra. Sacred sustainability. I like that. I know you're all about sustainability. Sacred sustainability. Honor your rest. Honor my rest. All these things, fam, is how you tend to your sacred garden. Fam, I'm ready. I'm really with breathe, intention, all these things. So in 2022, fam, let's do it together. Let's do it individually. Tend to our sacred garden. And thank God for a place like TLC that provides space for us to do that collectively. The space for us to do that collectively. Fam, I love you. I honor you. Look forward to seeing you soon. And Continue to look toward the horizon, fam, and continue to focus on your soil, no one else's. Amen. I say, so it is.
Ooh, Spencer Murray. The Right Reverend Spencer Murray. I knew it was gonna be good. I took my grandbaby to see the Lion King. She said, "You said it was gonna be good, but you didn't say it was gonna be this
Right,
good."
right, right. Right.
Oh,
It's my
praise
favorite.
God. I
Oh man.
thank you for a spirit God known as Spencer Murray. I thank you for he is allowing you to use him in a mighty way. I thank you because we are the benefactors. And I thank you.
Mm.
Oh, thank you, Spencer Murray.
I
Look,
love you, man.
I got my don't list going.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I got
yeah,
my don't list going.
yeah, yeah. I never thought about that, Danny. I never
Never
thought about it
thought
doing that.
about it. Oh my God. And I'm starting out with the ones he mentioned,
Yeah,
just
that's right.
valuable, just these
Yeah,
little golden nuggets
yeah,
that we can put into our already,
yeah.
overflowing toolbox.
That's right.
I'm
That's
just
right.
so grateful.
That's right.
I'm
Thank you,
so
Danny.
grateful.
I love you.
Yes, thank you. I thank your beautiful wife that always cheers you on and says amen and oh yes. And we hear it. I thank you, Erica. I thank you. I thank you. Well, TLC, I don't know about you, but I am going to tend to my sacred soil and my sacred garden. And if this ministry has given you anything of value, has nourished your soul and your spirit, we ask you now to contribute, to tithe, to so that we can continue to bring you what you need to nourish your mind, your body, and your spirit. Yes, we are entering into new ways of giving. So, Givelify, you've received your letter. We ask you to download the app, go and research it for yourself. And we are also accepting PayPal donations. And baby, a check in the mail is always good. So I thank you, Transform and Love community. Come join us this evening as we continue the 12 days of prayer. Tuesdays with Dr. Fatbu, Thursday, Healing Thursdays. And then once again, we will meet you again on next Sunday as Reverend Royce joins us for a powerful message. Thank you. I thank J Love for always being and giving. I thank you. I thank you. Reverend